Margaret had always been a kind-hearted woman, and when a stranger approached her seeking a place to stay, she welcomed him into her home. But soon, Margaret noticed strange things happening in the house. The stranger would spend hours locked in his room, muttering in a language that she could not understand. Strange symbols covered the walls, pulsing with a sinister energy. Despite her growing fear, Margaret felt compelled to help the stranger. But one night, as she lay in bed, she heard a blood-curdling scream coming from the stranger's room. When she rushed to investigate, she found the room empty. The symbols on the walls seemed to glow with a sickly green light, and the air was thick with a foul, unnatural odor. One night, as Margaret was lying in bed, she heard the stranger chanting in a voice that sounded inhuman. She rose from her bed and crept towards his door, heart pounding with fear. Through the keyhole, she saw the stranger surrounded by a group of shadowy figures, all chanting in unison. A flicker of green light filled the room, and Margaret felt a wave of nausea wash over her, and after a blink of an eye that seemed to last more than usual, the stranger and all the figures had disappeared. Margaret realized that something terrible had happened. She searched the house for any signs of the stranger but found nothing. The police were no help. They could find no trace of the man. Margaret was left alone, haunted by the memory of the stranger and the unspeakable horrors he had brought with him. As time passed, Margaret became increasingly isolated and paranoid. She could hear strange whispering voices in her head, and she felt like she was being watched constantly. One night, as she was preparing to sleep, she heard a faint scratching at her window. When she opened it, she saw nothing but darkness. The next day, Margaret was found dead in her home, her body contorted in a grotesque and unnatural position. Her neighbors whispered about the stranger she had let into her home and the cult of ancient entities that he had been a part of. They say that Margaret had paid the ultimate price for her kindness, and that the darkness that had been unleashed in her home would never truly be banished.